It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Happy 2025, everybody. I was reading something the other day that was making the analogy between vehicles and relationships. And I started thinking about all the different ways that this could actually be applied um, to jobs, to marriage, to personal life, all of the different ways that this could be applied. A lot of it was around the mileage that exists in relationships and how some of them serve you during certain times. But, reflecting on my life, there are people that were very close with me 10, 15, 20 years ago that I haven't spoken to or seen in years. And that's life. It's hard. It hurts. But it absolutely happens. And I want to dive into a little bit of what that means in our lives, but also how we can be thinking about this in other areas of life as well. It really helped me when I was thinking about understanding transitions. Going from a role years ago that I thought I was at the pinnacle of my career 15 years ago. And that time was cut short through no fault of my own. And I spent several years missing it and feeling like I needed to get back to it or surpass it. Now I don't even think about it. But at the time, it was the center of my world. Very similar to, if one of my kids has a bad day at school, that's everything to them at this moment. But at this stage, I can look back and realize that it's a small drop in the ocean. Of course, as a parent, I can't tell them that. That's another key thing. See, for me, 2025 is all about mastery in life, in career, but mostly in relationships. I'm very proud of my career. But frankly, the books that I'm reading right now are all about marriage and parenting. As well as career mastery, because these are the things that I want to make sure that I focus on. So talking about the car analogy, the vehicle analogy. First off, I think it's funny how when you're young and full of energy, you usually drive the least impressive vehicles. I started off with a maroon 1982 Ford LTD, and now I drive an Aston Martin convertible. But anyway, mileage matters, relationships, jobs, they all have wear and tear. Over time, there's going to be signs of strain. It's important that we address that we acknowledge it, that we repair, especially in relationships, that there is repair that's happening when there are rifts. Both people, multiple people, everybody that's involved needs to feel and acknowledge and see that repair. Maintenance, regular tune-ups. One of the things that I've realized over the last several years, especially in marriage, is that for the most important relationships in your life, you have to constantly assess, diagnose, lean in, do things that are new muscle. I grew up thinking that I needed to be this aloof, mysterious bad boy, and it's not who my wife wants me to be in our relationship. And so learning that new muscle is critical. But without taking attention and care, even the best vehicles are going to break down over time. So we've got to make sure that we have consistent effort toward nurturing the relationship and the job. I did a post a few weeks ago that got a lot of good commentary, and it was really all about the job that you're in. At some point, you signed up for it. In fact, you fought hard probably to get it. Are you reinventing and recreating yourself and recommitting to that role, or are you giving less than your best, less than the person that you pledged to be on interview day? So it's important that we're looking at these red flags, whether it's burnout at work, whether it's disconnection in a relationship, or even just neglecting our own personal health, and that we start to look at those things as we anchor and pivot toward better systems that will attune to those relationships. The right vehicle for the right season. Every life stage, just like, when you're single, you might have a sports car. A minivan might better suit a family, as I've learned the hard way, though I still have a sports car. Relationships and career also have to align to your current stage of life. There's a lot of people that when I was younger and going out partying that I hung out with, and I don't see those people anymore. And it doesn't mean I don't miss them. It doesn't mean we didn't have good times. But right now I'm very focused on faith and family and career. and up leveling and upskilling. And so some of those people are, we're not talking as frequently as we used to. We're not spending time together. My wife and I stopped alcohol several, months ago. And, it changes who and what you gravitate toward. For very specific reasons. We did it for health. We did it for focus on family and our marriage. And, but that's not for everyone. So it's important that you're gravitating toward the people and the relationships that mean the most, because your needs are going to evolve over time. What worked for you during one phase of life might not serve you in another. Another thing that's interesting is, when you think about, obviously, vehicles run on fuel. It's got to be the right fuel. In my Aston Martin, I put the best possible fuel, right? You can't use the wrong fuel in your vehicle or it will cause inefficiency or damage. Same thing with your body. Just as cars need refueling, you're going to need to make sure that you're fueling yourself with the right things. I've shared many times, about 20 years ago, I made a very distinct change in my my regimen around tracking what goes in, and also exercise. And that rigor has helped me stay in as good a physical shape as I can be throughout my 20s, 30s, and 40s. Breakdowns. Look, life's going to throw things in your path. You may have somebody come out of nowhere and cut you off. You may have some type of hiccup in the road. Life's going to throw some obstacles in your path. Job loss, relationship struggles. These types of things can feel like that collision, that flat tire. And we've got to make sure that we take a step back, diagnose, and repair what's broken. If you don't, that gap, that hole is just going to get bigger and bigger, and eventually it's going to render you inoperable. And it's critical that we realize that in our relationships, in our job, and in our personal life. There's a lot of other elements too. Sometimes there's road work, right? We've got to adapt. We've got to change that way that we're going. Just like we adjust to a detour, we got to pivot when life takes us on unexpected turns. We lose a job, a relationship changes, somebody betrays you. Your job takes a massive shift. I remember years upon years ago, I literally had mandatory overtime and a change of job times, and was working 6 days a week, mandatory. And, just at that time in life, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. But there's a lot of it that falls into resilience and perseverance and paying dues. And sometimes these things, they never stop. We're always going to be called upon to pay dues and be resilient. It's the ones that stay standing when the bell is rung that ultimately are the champions. Upgrades, sometimes we like to upgrade our vehicle. We also got to up level and upgrade ourselves. I'm always looking for ways to improve. And especially it was interesting. We did an exercise toward the end of last year with work. And actually, it was one of my colleagues shared with us a wheel about some of the different facets of life, and really just kind of where we fit in these different facets of life. And if you kind of rank and sort your life, professional, career, marriage, or partner, spouse, fun, all the different types of things that matter most to you. Where do you feel like you're getting fulfillment from those things? Are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Something is probably always going to be out of whack. It's not possible to have it all at the same time operating at a 10. So being able to adjust those things, but looking for ways to grow. This could be adopting healthier habits, deepening your faith, learning new skills, and skills in relationships. How to better attune to your partner's needs, how to better lean in when your kids are suffering, and instead of giving everybody advice, actually listening and acknowledging and showing empathy. These are things that I continue to work to improve on. So those things are important. Garage time. This was a funny one. Rest and reflection. It's critical, and our pastor over the weekend was talking about just kind of the time of the season. As we're past the holidays, and just that rest and reflection. What are you doing? There's a temptation often, and this was the gist of his sermon, that we're being called. We feel sometimes that we are, tempted to be defined by what we do. Like when you think about who are you as a person, we often define ourselves with what we do. And the reality is that's not who we are. But it's critical that we are looking for ways to have downtime for storage and for care, for rest, for relaxation, for solitude, for introspection, meditation, prayer. Those things will bring us back to center, help us approach each new day with the right mindset to do our best and be our best for everyone that we touch. I also want to talk about trade-ins and new beginnings, letting go. Sometimes this can be really challenging, especially if there's a season of life that you were really passionate about. For a salesperson, for a sales leader, every great year, the next day the scoreboard's back to zero. It's hard sometimes to let go of that, but it's also hard to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. I've noodled on this for quite some time over the last few years, as I've realized that people that I was close to in my single digits to teens to 20s, I no longer have a relationship with. But there are new relationships that have taken its place: mentors, sponsors, colleagues, friends that enrich me and make me better and have taught me new things. This applies to everything. Jobs, they will continue to morph and change and shift over the time. All you can do is embrace the new, figure out the new parameters and how you're going to succeed and add value and serve in the new landscape. Lastly, it's the driver's responsibility. You're the one steering the wheel. You're the one making the choices, deciding what to pay attention to, what to care for, what to nurture. These are the things that determine your destination. The thrill is the journey. We talk about this all the time. How many of us love going on road trips, going out and just driving to clear our head? It's the same thing. And faith is my GPS. For those of you who lean into faith, spirituality can act as a guiding force. A lot of times when things are unclear, leaning into that and thinking about where you're being called or who you're being called to can make all the difference in the world. So hopefully this was helpful. As I think about my 2025, I'm thinking about what relationships mean and matter the most, how I can nurture them and give tune-ups, how I can make sure that I'm upgrading myself. Would love to hear what you're thinking about for 2025 and how I can help you, support you this year to achieve all your goals. Happy New Year.